Hello, heroes of Arkesia. Welcome back to another episode of Patch Notes with Henry. Today we're going to cover the Breakthrough to Thaemine update, which is our major March update, and go through a ton of the content arriving this month. This is a month with a hefty batch of release notes, so we're going to cover the spotlight content, a bunch of the events that are arriving, and then we're going to go through some of the key quality of life and other changes coming in. But once again, hefty update. This is going to be the express version. For the full details, you're going to need to read through the entire release notes, which should be linked in the YouTube description. With that, let's dive right into it. So, one of the biggest things arriving in this update is going to be a new advanced class. That is the Breaker. The Breaker is a male version of the Scrapper and is an absolute force to be reckoned with, using his heavy gauntlets, mobility, and combos to deal massive damage. It's going to be a really cool new class arriving. I'm super excited for it. I am going to make one. I decided. It took me a while, but I did land on that as my new character, so I'm super pumped. If you need some tips and tricks also, we released an article featuring Saint Tone last week that kind of gives a breakdown of some of the play styles and fun things. That is linked in the release notes, so make sure to go check that out if you're interested in making a Breaker. We're also going to talk about it a little bit more later on in the events section, but to help interested adventurers prepare to master this new martial artist arsenal, and just relentlessly bash the biggest and baddest enemies in Arkesia, we have a ton of events planned for players to quickly level up. So the Breaker is going to come with all the classics, new class engravings. Along with that, there's going to be a few more Breaker-specific systems. There's a new title, 10 new achievements. There's going to be some quests and skills unlocks for that class, training room guide, and a new trophy for the class as well. One thing to note, if you have been following the balance and specifics of the class in Korea, the Breaker is actually going to release with the recent balance changes that were made in Korea just a month or two ago. So once again, go check out that Breaker overview. And then when we get to the store section a little bit later in this video, you're going to be able to check out some of the cosmetics that are going to launch alongside the Breaker. Next spotlight section is going to be the Light of Destiny story update. The focus of this story is going to be that the Lost Ark's location is getting closer to being revealed. Sacria is beginning to investigate some of the events that occurred in Plechia, and as the situation becomes more unpredictable, it will be up to you to face the chaos as you follow the path of the Light of Destiny. This update is going to reveal the location of the Lost Ark, which will bring us closer to the end of story chapter 1. It's going to be a story that answers some of the most important questions of the journey to find the Lost Ark after what happened in Voldus, and bring you to a new location, which is going to be the island of Praeteria. So along with the Light of Destiny story update, there's going to be a few new things arriving. So like I just mentioned, the new island of Praeteria is going to be added. And that's going to come with its own island soul, a new Una's task that's only available after finishing the story. There's going to be new titles and achievements as well. And just so you're aware, the Light of Destiny story is going to require item level 1520. There's going to be some new relevant quests added, of course, and the starting quest is called the Lost Key. This quest can be accepted in either Voldus, North Vern, or Elgasia. And of course, there's some prerequisite quests that you're going to need to complete, such as Adento's Legacy, the Voldus World quest, Awakening, the Sunset Promise Isle adventure quest. And once you complete those, you're going to be able to check out this new storyline. It's also important to note that in 2 weeks after this update, after this Light of Destiny story update, we're going to be releasing the Thaemine Prelude story event as well. So make sure to play this over the next 2 weeks, and we'll have some more release notes and details on the Thaemine Prelude once we get closer to that update. The final of the big spotlight features is the new Arkesia Tour. Arkesia Tour is a horizontal catch-up mechanic that has 4 tiers of missions. It's built to help players catch up on islands, their adventure tomes, skill points, and a ton more. This event is supposed to make it easier for new and returning players to play with their friends and enjoy the endgame, or just help current players fill in any gaps in their collection of horizontal content rewards. Each tier requires you to complete a task, and once you've completed all 3 submissions, you'll be able to claim rewards that horizontally progress your character. Completing all of the missions is going to give you hundreds of rewards, including skill runes up to legendary, skill potions, stat potions, emotes, song unlocks, cards, fions, silver, providence stones, masterpieces, omnium stars, giant hearts, island souls, rapport items, mounts, all sorts of stuff from collecting and venturing around the world. Hopefully that gives the point of what this is for. To check it out, the Arkesia Tour can be viewed through the icon located at the top left of the minimap. If certain continents are related to the Arkesia Tour, that continent will have an icon in the Adventurer's Tome as well, upper left-hand corner, and once you hover over it with your mouse, a pop-up will appear with a system guide. For the tour, all rewards per mission can be claimed by clicking the completion reward buttons. Some of the rewards that require players to go through the content will not be included there. And one thing to know is there will be some additional rewards if you just if you were to do the normal storyline all the way through, for example. So it's kind of up to player discretion to figure out if you want to play through the content as it was originally, or use the Arkesia Tour to kind of progress through it in that express way. If the rewards have already been obtained by the players, they won't be granted again either, which is important to know. The Arkesia Tour will help with horizontal content all the way to Punica and its related content. With players, wanting to catch up to Thaemine and maybe fill in those skill runes or skill points to make their character feel as impactful, or for new players just wanting to catch up and get into Lost Ark's endgame, this is a great opportunity to get through a lot of those kind of grindier systems in an express way while still experiencing it to some degree. So we're super excited to add this to the game for players. All right, let's talk about events. There are an absolute ton of events arriving in this update. Like I mentioned before, we really want players to reach the end game, make sure that they are receiving the support that they need to get to Thaemine or, level up their new characters. So as players strive to reach the item levels required for existing and upcoming endgame content on either their main character or an alt, we've planned a suite of events to support players. While the number of events we're going to talk through might be a little bit overwhelming to go through all at once, our goal here was to kind of separate the rewards into various events so that players were able to mix and match or focus all the events onto a single character. This just provides the best options for support since everyone's journey in Lost Ark is a little bit different. A new player might need to focus all the events to reach endgame faster, whereas if you have a roster with a bunch of characters, you can kind of pick and choose where to place these events strategically to maximize the rewards and build the roster that you want, as Lost Ark's endgame matures and we get access to some of these new raids. So with that, let's dive in. There's a ton, but we're going to go through every single one of them. So the first event is going to be an Arkesia event power pass. This is going to drop players off in Arkesia at item level 1460 and can be claimed and used until July 17th, at which point it expires if you haven't used it. There's not going to be any restrictions for players to use this power pass, apart from not being able to use it on a character that's already above that target item level. But for players that don't have a character at 1490 yet and are just using this to jump right into the end game, trading on the auction house is going to be blocked for 3 days. That is to prevent bot abuse, to make sure that new bot accounts aren't able to progress to endgame levels right away and interact with the auction house. But hopefully in those first few days, for new players, there will be a ton of content to experience before they need to engage with some of those systems. The next event is going to be a Super Makoko Express, and this is built to pair really well with the Arkesia Power Pass. Players are going to be able to designate one character between item level 1460, where the Power Pass drops you off at, all the way to 1580 on their roster to participate in this Super Makoko Express event. In the event, you're going to have discounted honing rates, discounted gold requirements, and you're going to earn honing materials to quickly level up to item level 1580 through reward chests that include silver, honing materials, higher level gems, 7s and 8s, engravings, and a ton more. So here's some of the specific benefits that are, I think, super great as you're trying to level up. The first is going to be a honing percentage increase. From 1460 to 1475, you're going to get a flat 20% honing chance increase. From 1475 to 1490, 15%. From 1510 to 1520, you're going to get a 20% increase. And then from 1520 all the way up to 1580, you're going to get a flat 10% honing increase. So on top of that, there's actually going to be a honing materials discount as well. From 1460 to 1490, you're going to have a 70% material discount. From 1490 to 1580, it's going to be a 60% discount. There's going to be a specific leapstone discount as well. 1460 to 1490 is going to be a 40% discount. And then from 1510 to 1580, accounting for the jump from relic to ancient gear, which increases your gear a little bit, you're going to get 60% all the way to 1580 from that point. So 60% leapstones, absolutely huge. And once again, the final one, gold discount. From 1460 to 1490, no gold is currently required to hone to 1490. That will continue, no gold required at all. And then from 1490 all the way to 1580 is going to be a 65% gold cost reduction. So absolutely huge. Our goal with this is to make sure that players get to 1580 right away and get to start experiencing the end game of Lost Ark. Of course, for new players, it's still important that they participate in some of those raids, play Belshazzar, play some of those other raids to build that foundation of knowledge. So we hope that this helps them get to where their friends are at raiding in the end game, while still getting to play the game and learn some of the basics. On top of all the honing changes with the Super Makoko Express, there are also combat style setting support options for players to easily set skills and engravings through presets and get item support for accessories with relevant stats and ability stones as well. The Super Makoko Express event also includes engraving support system that gives you a free 5x3 setup. If you're new to the game, that means that you get 5 engravings at level 3 during the event. And you're going to be able to use all of that through the Super Makoko Express UI in the game. The Super Makoko Express event is going to last until July 17th, just like the Power Pass. It's really important to know that the character cannot change once the event target character has received a honing buff. So make sure that you're being really intentional about which character you're activating these events on. Next event is going to be called Descend into Darkness. Brace yourself for the upcoming onslaught of the Darkness Legion and its leader, the most powerful Legion demon commander, Thaemine. The road to Thaemine has been renamed to Descend into Darkness as players prepare for the Darkness Legion commander's arrival in April. The rewards are going to differ a little bit from previous iterations of the event. Players that are familiar saw this event release in Korea, and then also our spin on it a few months ago with the Path of the Soul Eater event. This event is going to be similar, have a similar UI, similar feel, but like I mentioned earlier, we broke out some of the benefits of this event into other events that we're going to talk about after this one, just so players had a lot of customability on how to use these events. So I don't want you, as I'm reading through this, to get worried that the event is much worse. The event is just different, and there are also more events accompanying it. So with that, let's dive into some of the details. Descend into Darkness is built to help progress a single character quickly from 1580 to 1600. So picking up where the Super Makoko left off, if that's the character that you want to take from 1580 to 1600. And then on top of trying to get to 1600 quickly, it's going to provide additional support as players approach Thaemine normal at item level 1610. So let's dive into what exactly this event is going to provide. So a gear honing support effect is going to be applied when honing a Khan ancient gear from 1580. That's going to decrease the amount of gold and materials needed to hone it, along with granting double Artisan's energy. So you're going to receive double Artisan's energy when honing a con gear from 1580 to 1600. You're also going to get caches of rewards every 5 item levels from 1580 to 1610, with a particularly valuable reward at 1600. Rewards are going to include things like silver, gold, honing materials, honing books, card packs, and a ton more valuable items, all the way up to legendary elixirs at the highest level. Top of that, you're going to get 25% honing materials discount and a 25% gold discount. On top of all that, there's going to be special missions to earn additional raid and abyssal dungeon materials, including bonuses of Empyrean of Contemplation from the Triangle Abyssal Dungeon, Eye of Decay from the Akan Legion raid, and additional honing material chests from completing Chaos dungeons. So those are all the rewards and all the things it gives you. It can be used on a single character, which cannot be changed or transferred, and you can use it on a character between item level 1580 until 1600, and like the other events, it's going to stick around all the way until July 17th. So the next event is going to be called the Extra Endgame Content Clear Rewards. It's a new event built around rewarding players for clearing current endgame content and helping players get ready for the upcoming raids arriving in April and beyond. The extra rewards will include protection and obliteration stones, leap stones, and honor shards, and correspond to the item level of the activity. Extra rewards will be granted when clearing either the normal or hard modes of the following activities: Belshazzar Legion Raid Gate 3, Triangle Abyssal Dungeon Gate 3, Akan Legion Raid Gate 3, and Ivory Tower Abyssal Dungeon Gate 4. The extra rewards will be available to all characters on a player's roster. No need to designate a character in this event. And these are also going to stick around until July 17th. I think this one's a lot of fun because you just get a bunch of extra bonus mats from clearing the raids that you're already kind of participating in. It's just, a boost that we're trying to reward players with as they continue to push their characters. So make sure you get in and do all of your at least your weekly gold earning raids. Maybe a few extras as well. All right, another event, the Honing Event Mission. This event is designed to help players as they hone their Akan Ancient gear and work to progress toward higher item levels. The effective target for this is a character between item level 1580 and 1619. Once again, please note that you cannot change the target character once an event target is selected. And in this event, when players hone Upper Ancient gear, Akan gear, on their designated character, they're going to be given honing materials such as metallurgy and mending books and gold just to help keep them honing and just make that progression all the way up to 1620 go a little bit easier. So to kind of dive into this, the way it's going to work is after the first weapon hone a player's attempt, players are going to receive 2 metallurgy selection chests. Then on top of that, players are going to receive 2 metallurgy selection chests and 2,500 gold after their 4th, 8th, 12th, and 16th weapon hone attempts. Similarly, after the first armor hone attempt, players are going to receive 12 mending selection chests. Players will then receive 12 mending selection chests and 2,500 gold after their 20th, 40th, 60th, and 80th armor honing attempts. So this pairs really well with some of the other events. If you're trying to hone, just get some gold, get some books to help with that honing session. Or, this one does go all the way up to 1619. So if it's a character that you're really trying to keep pushing, either to Voldus hard mode or past to all the way up to Thaemine hard, perhaps, this event is just built to make that honing feel a little bit easier and give you some bonus rewards as well. So with this update, the anniversary events are going to end, of course. So we're going to have a new event with its own event shop, as players have come to expect, kind of on a monthly basis. So this month, the Arkesia Grand Prix is going to return. The fan favorite Naruni Racing is going to come back, and in this mode, 2 teams of 7 players will compete against each other, racing around a course while transformed, and trying to prevent the other team from progressing. You can earn event coins that can be exchanged for a variety of impactful rewards. Make sure to check out the special tab in the store as well. An NPC named the Arkesia Grand Prix Manager will arrive in every major city to help you enter the event. Players must be level 50 to enter the event, and the Grand Prix is going to last until May 22nd. Next thing is the Golden Frog event shop. The Golden Frog is actually going to stick around for an additional month, lasting until April 17th. For players that haven't seen it currently in game, it's a shop where players can exchange gold for valuable rewards such as honing materials, legendary engravings, card packs, and a ton more. There's also a special tab where you can earn toad tokens, which can then be redeemed for additional really powerful items, such as like legendary selectors and a bunch of really cool stuff. We're excited to keep this in game for an additional month. We know some players really liked the current iteration of the event where you can kind of focus it all on one character, and some players wish that they could still purchase it on all their characters. So by leaving it in an additional month, we hope that every player is super happy with the offerings and the things that they're going to be able to get from the frog, get all the card XP, all the honing materials, and everything else they need to keep progressing. So to round out the event section, we just have a couple general event updates. Daily playtime rewards will continue, but be refreshed with the new event tokens. Otherwise, the rewards will remain the same. We also added a new daily login reward track, and new Fever Time events have been added for this month. All right, let's cover the store updates. So the big update this month is going to be a new Arc Pass, which is the Immortal Phantasmic Beasts Arc Pass. I'm not going to cover everything about how an Arc Pass works in this video. If you want to learn about what an Arc Pass is, there's some details for that in the store section of the release notes. Make sure to check that out. But the TLDR is there's a free section that everyone will have access to that gives you 30 levels of awesome rewards. Then there's a premium section, which you can purchase, and a super premium purchase section as well that gives cosmetics. So let's take a quick look at what those cosmetics are for this Arc Pass, since that's usually what players are most excited about. And then, once again, if you want to learn more about what an Arc Pass is, make sure to check it out in the full release notes. Let's see what's in store for this Arc Pass. So on top of the new Arc Pass coming, we of course have some cosmetics for the new Breaker class. So there's going to be 3 cosmetic sets accompanying the Breaker's launch. First off, we have the Breaker launch skin. We also have the Breaker Unity and Providence skins, which were in the store for all the other classes last month. And then on top of that, we're adding the Breaker Yaz skin for the Leap collection. As Breaker was released after Yaz's Leap season was created, Breaker's going to have the same legendary skin appearance as the Striker, but it will be in-game for players that want to have that legendary skin for it. And then just a few general store updates. There's going to be a Voldus Power Pass that will now be available from the Power Pass UI in the character selection screen. And then we also changed the color of a buy button within the store. All right. So we made it through the events, we made it through the spotlight. What's left is going to be about 5,000 words in the full release notes article that I'm going to try and sum up. I'm going to cover some highlights that I know players are expecting, but I'm not going to be able to read through every single update because that would make this video like an hour long. So if you want that level of granular detail, make sure to read through the full release notes. But if you're fine with just hearing the highlight reel, stay tuned to the rest of this video and we'll talk through some of those highlights. So a ton of stronghold improvements, UI improvements, combat changes, raid updates all came in. So that's some of what we're going to go through, and then a few more general things as well. And let's just rapid fire our way through this. Kick things off, we added 2 new male and 2 new female hairstyles. Wandering merchants have seen some changes. We boosted the chance of legendary cards appearing in each continent, and then also added some legendary cards that can now appear. So Carmine has been added to the inventory of the Rethramis Wandering Merchant Ben, and Azena and Inanna was added to the inventory of the Roendel Wandering Merchant Erisur. So for players that enjoy Siege content, 3 new raid matches have been added. There's Thunderwings, S rank at item level 1610. Don't know how to pronounce this because I haven't really said it out loud before, but Enchiladas is S rank at item level 1500, and Mawake is S rank at 1580. We also improved Siege PvP for several of the PvP islands, such as Medea, Slime, and a bunch of those other super important GVG and PvP activities. So make sure if you are a PvPer who enjoys those Siege events to go check out the full section there. There were a ton of island updates across the board, but one of the most important is that the entrance method was improved for adventure and dynamic islands. This now allows matchmaking with all players within all servers in a region. So you're not just playing with the people in your server. So if you're trying to complete some of that horizontal content on those niche islands that not a ton of people go to, you'll now have a much bigger pool of players to try those islands with. Some combat changes. We changed the motions of Glavier, Deadeye, and Gunslinger so that stance swapping in combat looks more natural. Switching over to the raid stuff, players are now going to be able to check the status of content that resets every 2 weeks, like Belshazzar Gate 4, in the Task Tracker UI and Party Finder before entering certain activities. There are also some balance changes to Kakul Seidon Normal and Rehearsal Gate 3, making it a little bit easier for players. In both Normal and Rehearsal mode, players touching the cogwheel no longer die. Instead, they'll be inflicted with massive damage. We lowered the stagger points required to clear the Offer the Sacrifice pattern, and lowered the damage for the circus balls and missiles appearing in the side-scrolling Mario minigame pattern. If a player fails to remove the doll's curse placed upon another player in the side-scrolling minigame pattern, the player with the curse gets a debuff instead of dying instantly. Also, brand debuff obtained from entering the side-scrolling minigame pattern will be removed when using the sidereal skill of Inanna. And then this applies to normal mode but not rehearsal mode. The puzzling curse pattern has been removed. The stagger amplification effect was buffed when pulling on the lever in the 4th Offer the Sacrifice pattern. We also had some honing QOL changes come in, which we know players have been looking forward to. Makes it just the whole honing experience feel a little bit more natural, and also allows you to use additional materials easier and set it up so that it uses them every time rather than having to manually enter in how many additional materials you want to use for every single hone. This next one's a really important one. It is the progression boost. We expanded the Arcturus' touch boundaries to now include Plague Legion Commander Akan, normal mode and hard mode gates 1 to 3, the Abyssal Dungeon Kaingol, Eternal Cradle of Light, normal mode gates 2 and 3, and hard mode gates 1 to 3. And then for new and returning adventurer buffs, benefits will now be applied to the highest item level character in the roster up to item level 1540. We also expanded the boundaries of Procyon's protection to the Legion raid for Phantom Legion Commander Belshazzar, hard modes gates 3 and 4, and then Plague Legion Commander Akan, normal modes gates 1 to 3, and Abyssal Dungeon Kaingol, hard mode gates 1 to 3 as well. We also added some changes to improve progression materials. So Ability Stone upgrade material Light Spear is no longer even obtainable from hard mode. That's the first one. So instead, you'll just be getting the levels 2, 3, and 4 instead. And then finally, I know at the top of the video, we announced that Breaker would be releasing with its balance updates. That balance update in Korea also had some Deathblade changes, so those are going to be coming over as well. For Deathblades, the PvE damage of Surge was reduced by 2.3%, and the damage effects within the Surge engraving has been reduced from 45, 60, 85% increase based on your level of engraving to 40, 55, or 80%. And that covers the highlights. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Patch Notes with Henry. Not to sound like a broken record, there's a ton more detail, ton more changes, all in the full release notes. We just wanted to make sure that this video isn't too long and is digestible for everyone watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if this type of video is helpful. And we want to leave you with a community question. What character are you going to use these events on, and why are you using them on that character? What makes that one so special, and what's the secret, and why should everyone else be doing what you're doing? Thanks a ton for joining us once again. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you in Arkesia.